What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and in this video I'm going to be going over my tips on how to level up an alt as fast as possible. An alt being an alternate character to your main, so like a second character basically. I've got my alt up to 291 light after just a few hours of playtime, and I want to share you guys my tips and advice. You probably have a main character that's around 290 or 300 plus light who's probably done the raid and all the quests, but now it's time to level up a second character in order to do the raid and nightfalls multiple times each week. Leveling up to level 40, of course, is the easy and simple part. You can do that simply by turning in loads of bounties. If you've got the focus light buff, that'll help as well. And of course, the difficult part is getting near 300 light so you can actually do the raid in the first place. When it comes to moving gear around, you can transfer all your weapons and also your ghost shell over, and that gets you halfway there. But now you need armor, a class item, and an artifact, which gets you the rest of the way. If you don't know, artifacts are actually class specific, so titans, hunters, and warlocks each have their own, and you can't transfer them between each class. So your main goal is going to be getting everything on the right hand side of the screen up to a high enough level, because of course you can transfer your weapons easily from your main character. So my first tip is don't dismantle any high level gear that you get on your main character. Anything at all that's above 280 light, do not dismantle it, put it in the vault and save it. And even if you have, say, a 300 plus helmet for your main character, if you get a 295 helmet, even though it's not going to be used to your main character, it's still a massive use for your alt. Obviously, you can't directly use it on that character because it's a different class, but you can infuse Hunter gear into Warlock gear or Titan gear and all the other ways around. They can all infuse into each other, doesn't matter the class, so you can use the gear from your main character to infuse into your others, no matter what the class is. So your main goal is to get a legendary or exotic helmet, gauntlets, chest, and boots. For this alt, it doesn't matter what level, it just needs to be legendary or exotic, and then you can take your high level blue drops that you get in your main character that you don't need, of course, and you can infuse them into your alt's legendary or exotic gear because they have the infusion perk. So for me, my Hunter, who's at 306 light, is my highest character. He's my main, and any blue engrams that he turns in will be up to 300 light. And whenever I get a blue engram, I make sure I turn them in on my Hunter, because when he turns them in, it's got a very high chance of it being 290 or 300, and I confuse that with on my alt, of course. And I say blue engrams because if you get a legendary, you should obviously save that and give it to your alt, because that's an easy legendary for him. And like I said, the main goal here is to get at least one legendary for all of your armor pieces and also your class item and artifact. And the best way to get an alt with all legendary is probably to buy them off vanguards in exchange for legendary marks. The helmet is the most expensive for 120 marks, so ideally you want to get an exotic helmet from Xur or from engrams, and if you get lucky then that will sort you out and you don't need to spend 120 marks on a helmet from the vanguards. And then with the chest, boots, and gauntlets, you can simply buy them from the vanguards because they're relatively cheap, only 75 marks. It'll also help if you do strike playlists, Court of Oryx, and also the 8 main story missions, because they could drop you a legendary engram, which could save you 75 marks of buying it from the vanguard. Also make sure you do your subclass quest, because that guarantees you a legendary class item from your vanguard mentor once you complete the new subclass quest. Now it may only be 220 defense, which is very low, but it's legendary, which means it has the infusion perk and you can infuse other gear into it. And that's why I said not to dismantle any gear that you get from your main, because in my case I had 3 cloaks that are around 295, and then I put all 3 of those cloaks into my Sunbreaker's mark that you can see here, and that's how I got it to 295. And now that is definitely going to get me into the raid, and it's very simple. All you need to do is that new subclass quest. It's very, very quick, and that gets you a guaranteed legendary class item which you can infuse into. So I actually got lucky and I got a legendary chest already from an engram, so all I needed to do was buy gauntlets and boots from the vanguard for 75 marks each. So that was relatively cheap, and I already had an exotic helmet, the Imperium Bellicose from Xur's engrams. That is my gear all sorted. The only problem now is the artifact, and like I've said, you can easily buy armor which is legendary tier, but with your artifact you can't actually buy them, so they're a little bit more tricky to get. In my experience, the best way to get a legendary artifact is from the tier 3 Court of Oryx, and if you present an antiquated rune and do tier 3, you've got a very high chance of getting a legendary artifact, and I get one almost every time. So try and get your hands on some antiquated runes. They're your best bet for getting legendary artifacts. So in summary, you want to get any legendary gear that you can, doesn't matter what the level is, and just keep any high level blue gear on your main, and you can use that to infuse into your new legendary gear. Once you're around 280, 290 light, depending on your fire team's level, you can hop into the raid and start getting 300 to 310 gear. And that's where I'm at now. I haven't started on my Warlock yet, but he has already got an exotic helmet, and I've got these 3 legendary engrams in the vault, which are almost guaranteed gear. So like I've said, after that all I need is legendary artifacts, and then I'm pretty much set to go with my Warlock as well, and that'll be all 3 characters around 300 light. So hopefully I've explained this well enough. These are all my tips and tricks on how to power level an alt as fast as possible. Let me know what you think in the comments and how your character is getting on. Give you a thumbs up if you found it helpful, I massively appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.